Namaskar, myself Dr. Deepti Bish, Professor, Department of Kaya Chikitsa, Faculty of Ayurveda Sciences, Jyoti Vidyapeeth, Women's University, Jaipur. In today's session for class 4th year BMS, I'm going to discuss an important topic, that is autoimmune disease. So let's start the topic. First of all, definition. As we all know, an autoimmune disease is a condition arising from an abnormal immune response to a functioning body part. Immune response is basically a response of body towards any external encroachment, whether it is bacteria, virus, fungus, or any allergen particles. So this is normal immune response of the body through which body fights various kind of infections and allergens. When we say that abnormal immune response, that means the body is not producing proper immune response to fight against some common antigens or some specific antigens. Nearly any body part can be involved. Common symptoms include low-grade fever and feeling tired. Often these symptoms can come and go. The cause of autoimmune disease is unknown. Some autoimmune diseases, like lupus, run in families, and certain cases may be triggered by infections or other environmental factors. So still, the cause of autoimmune disease is not perfectly sorted out till date. Some common autoimmune diseases include celiac disease, diabetes mellitus type 1, Graves' disease, inflammatory bowel disease, multiple sclerosis, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, and systemic lupus erythematosus. Most of the disease you are aware of. Now, when we talk about treatment, this is some general discussion that treatment depends on the type and severity of the condition, and immunosuppressant drugs are oftenly used. So there is no sure shot treatment for autoimmune disease. Only we can do is that we can resist the symptoms and signs. Intravenous immunoglobulin may also be occasionally used, but still the researches are going on for implying these. While treatment usually improves symptoms, they do not typically cure the disease. Now, some common signs and symptoms of autoimmune disease, there may be feeling of fatigue, there may be low-grade fever, general feeling of unwell, that is malaise, muscle ache and joint pain may be present, rash on different areas of skin. So these common symptoms which are seen occur according to the part or organ of the body involved. The appearance of these signs and symptoms can fluctuate, and when they reappear, it is known as the flare-up case. Having an autoimmune disease occasionally increases the risk or likelihood of developing certain cancers, since all autoimmune disease increase the chronic inflammation which has been linked to cancer. Again, this is not a strong explanation, but this is a hypothesis that usually if there is chronic inflammation in some part or tissue or organ of the body, this chronic inflammation can further in future may lead to the occurrence of cancer, and this may occur with the autoimmune disease because this disease reappears again and again in form of flare-up reactions. Now, examples of some autoimmune diseases. First of on celiac disease. Celiac disease presents the strongest association to gastrointestinal and lymphoproliferative cancer. Celiac disease is a kind of autoimmune disease, and this is seen that in long-term celiac disease patients, there may be chances of cancer, specifically in gastrointestinal region or lymph nodes present there. The autoimmune reaction is caused by the body's loss of immune tolerance to ingested gluten, found primarily in wheat, barley, and rye. This explains the increased risk of gastrointestinal cancer, as GI tract includes the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and anus. All areas that are ingested gluten would traverse in digestion. The incidence of GI tract cancer can be partially reduced or eliminated if a patient removes gluten from their diet. So it is generally advised to the patients of celiac disease to stop taking gluten containing food items to prevent a recurring flare up of the disease and hence preventing the chances of cancer in future. Next disease is inflammatory bowel disease or IBD, very commonly seen nowadays. IBD is associated with cancers of GI tract and some lymphoproliferative cancers. This can be further categorized as Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. In both the cases, the individuals with IBD lose immune tolerance for normal bacteria present in the gut microbiome. In this case, the immune system attacks the bacteria and induces chronic inflammation, which has been linked to increased cancer risk. So, if we talk about the autoimmune reaction, then there is reduced tolerance for normal bacteria which are present in gut microbiome, and so again and again when this reaction happens, disease flare up, and this chronic irritation of GIT tract may lead to carcinoma in future. Next important disease is multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is associated with decreased risk of cancer all overall, but an increased risk of central nervous system cancer, primarily in the brain. Multiple sclerosis is a neurodegenerative disease in which T cells, a specific type of immune cell, attack the important myelin sheath in brain neurons, and hence this reduces the nervous system function, creating inflammation and subsequent cancer of the brain. So basically, multiple sclerosis is a neurodegenerative disease in which the myelin sheath in brain neurons is affected, and hence it can lead to carcinoma of brain in future. Next, very common disease is rheumatoid arthritis, which is considered as autoimmune disorder. Rheumatoid arthritis presents mild yet significant associations with focal cancer all throughout the body as well as lymphoproliferative cancer. As we know, mostly this type of arthritis affects the joints, small joints of the body, but in chronic stages, this arthritis or this autoimmune disease can affect all the tissues and organs, including blood, liver, kidney, etc. And thus, in chronic stages, it can lead to lymphoproliferative cancer origin. Cells that make up of body's joints and cartilages become invasive and induce local inflammation. So here the site of reaction is mostly the body joints and cartilages, where the antigen antibody reactions basically take place and where the immune response generally becomes abnormal. The chronic inflammation and overactivation of the immune system creates an environment that favors further malignant transformation of other cells. So, this can explain the associations of cancer of the lungs and skin, as well as increased risk of other hematologic cancers, none of which are directly affected by the inflammation of joints. So here we can say the site of inflammation is basically the joints and cartilages, but the site of cancer origin in future in case of rheumatoid arthritis is generalized. There may be lung, skin, or blood. Any tissue can be involved. Next disease is systemic lupus erythematosus or SLE. SLE is associated with focal cancer throughout the body and lymphoproliferative cancer. It affects multiple organ systems and is characterized by a widespread loss of immune tolerance. The chronic inflammation throughout the entire body promotes the malignant transformation of other cells, which contribute to the increased risk of systemic and lymphoproliferative cancers. So as we see in case of rheumatoid arthritis, systemic lupus erythematosus, the future stages can result in systemic type of cancers or lymphoproliferative cancers, which can be generalized. While the first two disease, that is inflammatory bowel disease and celiac disease, are involved with cancers of GI tract. Next, autoimmune disease is aplastic anemia. In this, the body fails to produce blood cells in sufficient numbers. So blood cells which are produced in bone marrow by stem cells that reside there became less and less gradually. Aplastic anemia causes a deficiency of all blood cell types like RBC, WBC, and platelets. So this is again due to abnormal immune response of the body against some allergens. Now we will talk about the causes. As we all know, the cause is still idiopathic, that is unknown, can be divided into two types, genetic or environmental. Genetic, the exact genes responsible for causing each autoimmune disease have been not found yet. However, several experimental methods such as the genome-wide association scans have been used to identify certain genetic risk variants that may or may not be responsible. Like type 1 diabetes is a condition in which pancreatic B cells are targeted and destroyed by the immune system, all of you know. The condition is a result of neonatal mutations to the insulin gene, that is INS, which is responsible for mediating and production of the insulin in the pancreas. So when this gene is affected or attacked by immune system, then there is destruction of pancreatic B cells. Rheumatoid arthritis is next example. In this disease, several genes are thought to play a role in causing RA. The genes that influence the human immune system contain a TNF, tissue necrosis factor receptor, associated factor, and RA can vary in severity as a consequence of polymorphisms within the genome. So again, these two diseases have been explored, and the region behind these autoimmune disorders have been identified in uh, uh, in genes or genetics. So these were the two examples. Next cause may be environmental factors. It has been observed that a range of environmental factors have been recognized as either having a direct role in development or being a catalyst to many autoimmune diseases. These are called environmental triggers. Sometimes reduced oral tolerance. There may be gut dysbiosis like in celiac disease. There may be enhanced gut permeability, increased immune reactivity, autoimmunity, chemicals like hydrazine, hair dyes, trichloroethylene, tartrazine, hazardous waste, and industrial emissions, and ultraviolet rays. All these environmental factors are considered as the cause of immune response, abnormal immune response, and production of autoimmune disease in future. Now diagnosis. How the diagnosis of autoimmune disease is made. Symptoms of early autoimmune disease are often exact same as common illnesses, including fatigue, fever, malaise, joint pain, and rash. Due to the fact symptoms vary for affected location, disease-causing agent, and individuals, it is difficult for proper diagnosis. So, typically, diagnosis begins with looking into a patient's family history for genetic predisposition. This is combined with various tests as no single test can identify an autoimmune disease. These tests are indicative antibody abnormalities and inflammation. Further tests will be conducted to identify the autoimmune disease present. Now, some of the tests are anti-nuclear antibody ANA. This is a test used to identify abnormal protein known as anti-nuclear antibodies produced when the body attacks its own tissue. It may test positive in several disorders like SLE or systemic lupus erythematosus. In this disease, this test comes strongly positive. So this test is done to diagnose any autoimmunity inside the body. Then second one is complete blood count, a test taking measurements on maturity level, count and size of the blood cells. Targeted cells include red blood cells, white blood cells, hemoglobin, hematocrit, and platelets. Typically, autoimmune disease is represented by low white blood cell count called leukopenia. Then another test is complement test. This is a test used to measure levels of protein group of the immune system called complement within the blood. If complement is found in low levels, this may be an indication of disease. So if ANA, anti-nuclear antibody or complement, they are found in abnormal quantities in blood, they are indicative that there is some autoimmune or abnormal immune response is going inside the body, and body is destructing its own tissues and cells. So these are strong indications. Next important test is C-reactive protein. It is a protein made in the liver, generally increases with inflammation and may be high in autoimmune disease. Next, erythrocyte sedimentation rate. Usually this denotes the acute infection going inside the body. This test measures the rate at which a patient's blood cells descend in a test tube. More rapid descent may indicate inflammation, which is a common symptom of autoimmune disease. Now, treatment depends on the type and severity of the condition. The majority of autoimmune diseases are chronic and there is no definitive cure, but symptoms can be alleviated and controlled with treatment. Overall, the various treatment methods is to lessen the presented symptoms for relief and manipulate the body's autoimmune response while still preserving the ability of the patient to combat disease that they may encounter. The traditional treatment options may include immunosuppressant drugs to weaken the overall immune response like NSAIDs to reduce inflammation, glucocorticoids to reduce inflammation, DMARDs to release the damaging to decrease the damaging tissue and organ effects of the inflammatory autoimmune response. So this is general discussion regarding the treatment. Other standard treatment methods include vitamin or hormone supplements for what the body is lacking due to the disease, like in case of diabetes mellitus type 1, we supplement insulin, then vitamin B12, then thyroid hormone, etc. Blood transfusions if the disease is blood related. Physical therapy is given if the disease impacts bones, joints, or muscles. Because these drugs aim to reduce the immune response against the body's own tissue, there are side effects of these traditional treatment methods, such as being more vulnerable to infections that can potentially be life-threatening. So always be aware while using these kind of drugs. Other standard treatment methods include vitamin or hormonal supplements for what the body is lacking due to disease, blood transfusions if the disease is blood related. Again, new advancements are also there. When traditional treatment option falls, this method aim to either block the activation of pathogenic cells in the body or alter the pathway that suppresses these cells naturally. So the goal of these advancements is to have treatment options available that are less toxic to the patient and have more specific targets. Such options include monoclonal antibodies that can be used to block pro-inflammatory cytokines, antigen-specific immunotherapy, which allows immune cells to specifically target the abnormal cells that cause autoimmune disease, co-stimulatory blockade that works to block the pathway that leads to autoimmune response, regulatory T cell therapy that utilizes this special type of T cell to suppress the autoimmune response. So these are all the new advancements which are under still experimentation, and the therapy is usually uh, high costly. Again, there are some new researches which I want to share with you. In both autoimmune and inflammatory disease, the condition arises through aberrant reactions of the human adaptive or innate immune system. In autoimmunity, patient's immune system is activated against the body's own proteins, whereas in chronic inflammatory diseases, neutrophils and other leukocytes are constitutively recruited by cytokines and chemokines, resulting in tissue damage. The mitigation of inflammation by activation of anti-inflammatory agents and the suppression of inflammatory genes in immune cells is a promising therapeutic approach. There is a body of evidence that once the production of autoantibodies has been initialized, autoantibodies have the capacity to maintain their own production. So, next, research is very important regarding stem cell transplantation, which is being studied and has shown promising results in certain cases. So this was all about the autoimmune disorders. Hope you will get benefit from this lecture. See you in next lecture. Thank you. Have a nice day.